Right, one of the things I did probably 2 years ago now was during a discussion on one of the online forums into airbrushes, there was a bit of a backward and forward about whether a Harder and Steenbeck or Iwata were the best airbrushes. I own both. I own a Harder and Steenbeck Infinity 2-in-1 setup, and I also own a couple of these Iwata airbrushes. This is the HP C Plus, and I also own this, which is one of the. This is a TR2 trigger action airbrush, which is quite useful for doing varnishes and large overall schemes and stuff like that. But anyway, one of the things that was discussed was how easy airbrushes are to strip down, with the general perception being that there was something possibly tricky or difficult about stripping the Iwata models like this HP C down. Back then I made a short video in the kind of quite low quality camera I was using at that time, just to show how easy it is to strip the Iwata down. And the other week I was just asking if people would like sort of an updated version of that video. Now I've got some better cameras and stuff, and people seem to be saying yes, they would like an updated version of the video on how easy it is to strip down the Iwata for cleaning. A couple of things to say about this. I don't strip the Iwata down every time I use it, not by a long way. It probably gets stripped down once a month, and I'm quite a heavy airbrush user. Most of the time when using things like Tamiya acrylics, I will just clean out the colour cup and spray some cellulose thinner through the airbrush, and it's fine for the next colour. That's plenty enough. Once a month or so I'll give it a complete strip down and a good clean out. But just to let you know, for the most part, when I'm between colours or when I'm at the end of a spraying session, the extent of my stripping is to undo and remove this part, which is the rear of the body. Okay, undo the collet here and slide the needle out. Okay. That is literally it. I'll give the needle a wipe through just to make sure there's nothing on it. Okay, and that's it. And then I will clean out the colour cup and stuff like that. Put the brush back together, and that's it. I'm good to go for the next airbrushing session. As I said, occasionally it does require a bit more work. So what I'll do is I'll just insert the needle back into the airbrush. Okay, tighten up. Basically, this is just so that I can go from absolutely zero through stripping it with you. Okay, now the only tool you need to strip the airbrush is this little spanner that you'll get with your Iwatas, and a small screwdriver if you need to remove the seals from the inside the body. There's a small screw that needs to be undone, for which I've got a modified small screwdriver which I can't find at the moment, but it's somewhere about. But I'm not going to be doing that today anyway. So here it is. Here's a complete strip down of the Iwata airbrush. Okay, so as before, we remove the body. That comes out. Okay, undo the collet here. Okay, and you see all this is just finger tight. There's nothing there, and then the needle comes out. So we'll put the needle there. Okay, I do have a small tray here just to store all the parts in. Now invariably I'll lose the collet, the chuck nut at some point, so it's just as easy just to completely remove that. Okay, so the rear of the body here will simply unscrew. Okay, and then that comes out. Okay, that comes out as one assembly. Okay, which is part of the trigger action. Alright, so we'll put that there. With that out, the actual trigger assembly, the trigger itself, will come out of the top of the airbrush. Okay, here is the the air supply, which, as you can see, that's how the air supply goes in. I've got quick releases. Okay, so if we remove that, I've done that up quite tightly, so I'll try and undo that now. Okay, that there will unscrew and come out. We can place that to one side. Okay, and then what you've got is just in here, there's part of the trigger action. There's a kind of a small piston with a rubber O-ring. The piston will just push out from below, okay, and it will fall into your hand, and there it is. As you can see, it's quite small. Okay, so there's the entire rear of the brush now disassembled. Okay, so for the actual nozzle itself, okay, again, this is just finger tight, so you can unscrew that. All right, that unscrews as well, and there you have it. Okay, that goes into two, like so, and then the only thing you need the spanner for, okay, there's a very fine machined brass part here. It's absolutely tiny. Okay, so be careful. But this is simply loosen it off with the spanner. Okay, and then it will unscrew. This is mainly the reason I've got this tray here, just so that bit can go in and you won't lose it. Okay, so now all you've got there is the body. Okay, what you've got is you've got a Teflon washer in here, which is somewhere around about this location here inside the body, which you can there's a nut in there that you can unscrew to get at that to allow it to come out. I'm not going to do that because it does require, if you reassemble it, you've got to tension it and compress it correctly to give good needle sealing, while still allowing needle free movement. So I'm not going to do that because it is difficult. It's not difficult, but it's more it's more involved than I don't do that more than once. Well, I've had this airbrush I think for 4.5 years now, and I think I've replaced that once in that time. So so there we have it. It sits like so. You've also got a small washer in there, which is against which this locates. Okay, so with that you can do what you need to do to clean your airbrush thoroughly. Okay, I tend to use bits of kitchen towel. Okay, wet it with lacquer thinner, and I'll use that to clean the interior of the body out. Okay, this is actually pretty clean because I did it earlier on today. In terms of excuse me, in terms of the body between the trigger and the colour cup, I will tend to put the needle in backwards, like so. So you can see that needle is now coming out, and I'll just work it backwards and forwards through there a few times. Okay, and it will push any paint out. Sometimes if you're using acrylics quite heavily, that can be quite clogged up, and that's just a good way of cleaning it out. You can see a little bit of paint is on there from where I was spraying just earlier, so there is some in there, but nothing to be overly concerned about. You can be quite free and easy when you're doing this because there's no nozzle at the front or anything that you can risk damaging. So basically, do it to your heart's content. Obviously mind the tip of the needle because it's very fragile. Having said that, I do find that the Iwata needles are a lot tougher than many other needles like Badgers, and certainly the harder and Steenbeck needles bend far easier than the Iwata ones. Anyway, so you've done all the cleaning you need to do, and as you might suspect, we are moving in reverse. Okay, so this is the first and most delicate part, so we're going to put that on. Okay, screw that up. Alright, now this is one part that I do like to have more than finger tight because I need it to have a good seal. Don't go overboard, but just tweak it to tighten it up. Okay, and it's that easy. Okay, so then we're going to put the nozzle on. This all locates very nicely. Just be careful that you don't damage any of the fragile parts when you're doing it. So the nozzle tip goes on. Okay, so there's the so you've got 3 parts there. You've got the actual nozzle, the nozzle cover, and the nozzle tip. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is taking the little piston there with a pair of tweezers. I'm just going to drop it into the body. Okay, this can be a little bit tricky, but it will locate without too much trouble. Okay, which is now in, and then I'm just going to push it down until it stops. Okay, I'm going to take the air supply unit, the air supply valve, tighten that up again. Finger tight is more than ample, so that's in finger tight. Okay, take the trigger like so. Okay, and you can see that the trigger, I've got full movement of the trigger there, so that's fine. However, the springs and stuff aren't in, so it's still free and easy and will come out. Okay, so what we're going to do is, once that's in place, okay, you're taking the trigger spring assembly and those parts, feed it in from the rear of the brush, and simply screw it in until it's tight, but only finger tight. Now we've got full movement of the brush with the spring return as well. So that's a very nice action. completely smooth. Add your collet, but don't tighten it. Now when you buy an Iwata airbrush, they all come with a little bit of silicone lube. Sorry, non-silicone lube, it's called super lube. All I'm going to do is simply add 1 drop. That's all you need, okay, 1 drop. Work it around there. And then we're gently feeding the needle in until it stops. Okay, don't push hard. That's all I'm doing. Okay, I can see that seated right where it needs to be. So that is now in place. Okay, so we'll put the lube away on the spanner. So that's the airbrush more or less reassembled. I've just got to pop the rear of the body onto it now. Tighten it up. That is my airbrush reassembled. Okay. So I hope you can see just how easy that is. So what I've got here, I'll just pop the quick release valve, and that's back in just fine. Let's use a little bit of thinner just to see what yeah, that's fine. And one of the things I'm also checking is I've got no bubbles coming back through, back flushing through the airbrush. If you do get bubbles, you might need to look at the seals, or possibly check around that everything's tightened properly. But that is my Iwata, completely stripped and reassembled. So I hope you can see how easy that is. If there's any questions, feel free to ask them on the YouTube channel, and I'll do my best to answer them. But I hope that's dispelled some of the myths or worries that people have surrounding the assembly and disassembly of something like high precision equipment like an Iwata airbrush. It's easy. You just need to know what you're doing and take your time and a little bit of care. As I say, I don't do it all the time. Maybe once a month, once every couple of months is plenty for this, and you know, that will allow me to freehand camouflages such as on this MiG 23 here, which is currently in build, which has been completely free-handed so far. So you can see that using my fairly simple cleaning regime, it allows a good level of freehand work to be undertaken when you're spraying. So that's it. I hope that was of some assistance to you, and I'll see you next time.